Good morning to everybody and welcome to this video. My name is Felipe Quintero Tedesco. I have a bachelor's degree in European cultures and languages from the Università di Modena Reggio Emilia in Italy. As a guest lecturer, I was invited to take part in the Lecture in English International Week, a seminar designed for higher education professionals who are required to teach programs in English at Universidad CEU Cardenal Herrera here in Valencia, Spain. The lecture you are going to listen is an extract from my contribution to this seminar, and it's about the relevance and the importance of pronunciation and the functional strategies we can adopt in order to improve our fluency, but also to become aware of the most common errors in speaking, especially in Spanish learners. So let's start with my first point. While you are speaking Spanish, you pronounce, you vocalize every vowel, and all your effort while speaking is spent in every single stressed syllable of every word. And it doesn't make any difference if you pronounce perro or perro. It will always be a dog, because in Spanish it's not the vowel sound, nor its intensity, nor its duration that are relevant. And there is no risk, or at least there might be few cases, to misunderstand the piece of information that each word carries in it. And you will be understood by mostly every Spanish speaker all around the world. But now, let's have a look to the main differences between Spanish and English pronunciation. Well, English language contains a number of sounds that are not present in other languages. Speakers of those languages, I mean without those sounds, may have problems both hearing and pronouncing them. Well, okay, I know there are much more differences between Spanish and English pronunciation, but I think these are the most relevant we can describe at the moment. What about vowel sound? The English vowel system might seem to us a chaos due to the amount of vowel sounds in it. In Spanish, like in Italian, are fewer, but moreover, the Spanish vowel stands on the perimeter of the trapezium, with a constant distance among them. The more they get away from the perimeter, the more they get unclear. What about vowel length? Some languages don't lengthen vowels. The vowels in these languages always have the same duration, and Spanish learners may fail to catch the difference in length because their own language uses length in different ways, as in sheep and ship. What about consonant sound? Spanish learners tend to weaken consonant sounds, like in garage, that may be pronounced garas, or in Spanish, that may be pronounced Spanish. They tend to neutralize contrast between voiced and voiceless sounds, like in peace and peas, or price and prize, or between F and V, especially when it is a word final consonant, like in five. And they tend to add syllables, like in school, that may be pronounced school, since in Spanish sound S must immediately precede or follow a vowel. What about stress and intonation? English is a stress-time language and it responds to a different prosodic system. What have I done? How have I just pronounced the last sentence? Please, keep it, keep it in mind. All languages have some way to highlight the most important piece of information in an utterance, in a statement. They all have a way to help listeners distinguish between old information and new information, and as a consequence, draw listeners' attention to that piece of information that is new and more relevant, more important. Every statement has its own structure, and this depends on the new information we want to communicate. Well, it has nothing to do with the grammatical structure because there might also be no perfect correspondence between the statement subject and the grammatical subject. Let's have a look to this example. Are you coming to the party tomorrow? I'm leaving tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm leaving. I'm leaving tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm leaving. From a communicative point of view, only answer 1 and answer 4 are appropriate, since tomorrow is the new piece of information, and I want to emphasize the fact that I'm leaving. Languages can be classified according to the distinctive prosodic unit that gives a language its rhythm. Languages can be stress time, syllable time, or mora timed. Japanese is an example of a mora time language. Spanish and Italian are syllable time languages, but English, as well as Dutch and others, is a stress time language. But what does it mean? The English prosodic system can be illustrated visually with a pyramid shape according to Judy B. Gilbert. Thought group is a group of words that may be a short sentence or a phrase within a longer sentence. Then, a focus word is the most important word in the sentence within which one syllable is given the main stress. That syllable functions as the peak of information in the thought group. The sounds in this syllable must be clear and easily recognized, because this is the center of meaning of the thought group. Now, do you remember my previous sentence? Please, pay attention. English is a stress-time language and it responds to a different prosodic system. Can you catch it? Let's have a look to punctuation now. Look at this sentence. A woman without her man is nothing. A woman without her man is nothing. Punctuation mirrors for intelligibility, and it mirrors for listening comprehension. In spoken English, punctuation is expressed by a pause, a drop in pitch, or the lengthening of the last stressed syllable. All these are prosodic markers. Now, let's have a look to stress. Stress is the relative emphasis that may be given to certain syllables in a word, lexical stress, or to certain words in a phrase or sentence, that is, prosodic stress. Stress is useful in order to distinguish between different words. For example, inside and inside. or within the same word to distinguish between its different grammatic functions. These are examples of conversion, export, export. The first one is the noun and the second one is the verb. Or within the same grammatic function to distinguish between different semantic functions, paper bag, or within the same language to distinguish between different varieties, laboratory, laboratory. Now, let's have a look to intonation. Intonation is a variation of spoken pitch that is not used to distinguish words but for a range of functions such as indicating the attitudes and emotions of speaker, signaling the difference between statements and questions, and furthermore between different types of questions. The first function of intonation is to contrast old information and new information. Now, please, let's have a look to this example from Gilbert. Follow that car. Which car? The blue one. The blue one with a bad guy in it. Intonation is used to achieve the necessary emphasis on the word that the speaker wants the listener to notice most. But now, let's have a look to reductions. Reductions are an example to intensify the contrast between the focus word and the other words. Let's have a look to this example from Gilbert. Yesterday I rent a car. Where book? We been here long time. How do you spell? Well, structured words like pronouns, prepositions, articles, conjunctions, auxiliary verbs are less information-heavy words that are usually de-emphasized. English speakers usually reduce, they weaken them, and as a result they are hard to hear. Well, as I finish this lecture, I like to remind you that all these are very important elements of the prosodic system in English, and I want to thank you for watching this video, and let me just say goodbye.